water. It's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here, back with the Raptors Nation podcast. Hope you're all doing well on this July 11th. Yes, we are in the summer. Although things have quieted down, we got Summer League for the Raptors starting up this weekend. We got the Olympics beginning very, very soon. We got that showcase game last night between Team Canada and Team USA. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr., his time with the Raptors appears to be over. I'll give you the latest on what we know about that. Before we dive into today's show, do me a solid, everybody. Hit a like on the video. It helps it a ton. And please subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content just like this. And also be sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, iTunes, or Spotify. Every bit of help is greatly appreciated. So we are first going to start with Gary Trent Jr. as the Raptors, they are set to move on from Gary Trent Jr. Yes, Gary Trent Jr. has not yet signed a contract. He is an unrestricted free agent. He's in limbo. Seemed like he bet on himself. And now I don't know what Gary Trent Jr.'s market is. Really, this is a bad situation to be in if you are Gary Trent Jr. And for the Raptors, it does make complete sense. We knew this was going to happen as we saw the Raptors make the moves that they did, bringing in Jacoby Walter, who was seen as Gary Trent Jr.'s replacement, making the trade with the Kings, taking on some of that salary. The writing on the wall was it was there for Gary Trent Jr. It did not look promising that the Raptors were going to bring him back because obviously the Raptors, they're going to be prioritizing young talent. They want to give as many reps as possible to Jacoby Walter, to Grady Dick. That guard room all of a sudden looks filled up. Bruce Brown, it appears he's going to be on the roster to start the season, and the Raptors are more than likely going to trade him around that trade deadline. So Gary Trent Jr., simply put, he doesn't have a place on this team anymore. And this was basically solidified given some recent reports that we saw. First, from Josh Lewenberg of TSN. He put this out in his latest piece on TSN. And I'm just going to read kind of the blurb he had here in his article. Most of the team's roster building work was done on draft night when they acquired the rights to 4 rookies and swung a deal with the Sacramento Kings. They can make a few small tweaks here and there, but this is more or less the roster they're likely to open training camp with in the fall. As of this writing, unrestricted free agent Gary Trent Jr., who started 154 games for Toronto over the past 3 years, remains unsigned. While the door hasn't been closed completely, the team is expected to meet with Trent's representatives again in Las Vegas this week. Multiple league sources believe the Raptors are prepared to move on from the 25-year-old guard. Per source, the Raptors were willing to bring the sharpshooter back at an annual salary of around $15 million when the negotiation window opened last month, but Trent's camp was looking for a raise on the $18.5 million he made last season. Something in the $25 million range was believed to be the ask. Lewenberg goes on to write, now with the market drying up, one league insider suggested Trent would be lucky to get the mid-level exception valued at $12.5 million. A few reports have linked him to the Lakers, where it's possible he could only earn half of that. And then Michael Grange of Sportsnet, he ruled out a potential Gary Trent Jr. return to the Raptors, saying most talks Raptors had on Gary Trent Jr. were internal. There was not a formal offer, only framework discussions per source. After draft with Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter, Raptors told Gary Trent Jr.'s camp they were going in a different direction and both sides moved on. So, yeah, the Gary Trent Jr. tenure with the Raptors is over. I mean, it's going to be made official once Gary Trent Jr. signs with another team, but obviously the Raptors, doesn't look like they're going to be bringing him back, and it's just wild to me. You look at Gary Trent Jr., guys, this is somebody who, according to Lewenberg, the Raptors were willing to bring back at around $15 million, which is very, very fair. But Trent's camp misread the market completely, as they weren't content with that 15 million, and they were actually looking for a raise on the 18.5 million and looking for something in the range of 25 million. Man, oh man, did they ever mess this up for Gary Trent Jr. And Gary Trent Jr., he fumbled this situation, because now, based on what Lewinberg wrote, and we kind of see it based on how the market has fallen, it's dried up very, very quickly. Gary Trent Jr., he's going to be lucky to even get the mid-level exception, which is wild to think. And he's probably now going to have to sign a 1-year deal with a contending team for less than that, just to take a contract, just to join a team, just so he has an opportunity to restore some of that lost value. And then hopefully he can cash in on a bigger payday down the line. I mean, he's only 25 years old. So this is a big hit if you are Trent Jr., just a complete misreading of the market. And from the Raptors perspective, makes a ton of sense. And really, 15 million, very, very lenient, because I was even saying, the mid-level exception is fair for a player of Trent Jr.'s caliber. But then you read that Trent Jr. reportedly wanted something in the $25 million range. Yeah, no thanks. So this makes complete sense. Raptors move on. For as much as, Gary Trent Jr. did for this team, showed the flashes of what he could be, very, very inconsistent, just a streaky shooter, a guy who could drop 30 one night and then go ice cold from the field the next. And, you look at his age, obviously not old, 25 years old, still kind of fits this sort of young timeline. But with who the Raptors just brought in, they got young guards in Dick and Walter. You don't want to take any opportunities away from those guys. You picked up Bruce Brown's team option. Although you're going to trade him at some point, it seems he's going to be on the roster more so than not by the time next season starts. So Trent Jr., he was the odd man out in this situation. No more room for him. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, the Raptors made it clear early that they had no intentions of bringing him back. And with the roster now appeared to be set, it remains to be seen, where the hell is Trent Jr. going to play? And I feel for him, because it's not like Trent Jr. is washed. He's still a good three-point shooter, one of the best catch and shoot three-point shooters in the league. And I really think he would be a valuable rotation piece on a contender. And really, that's what I see from Trent Jr. at this point. I do see him going to a contender. He's going to have to take less money than what he had hoped for at this point in time. It looks like it's going to be less than even the mid-level exception. So Trent Jr., from his perspective, just got to move on. It is what it is. It is a fumbled situation, but I think he still has an opportunity here if he's able to sign with a contender, which would be the best move for him at this point. Signs a short-term 1-year deal, really maximizes his value, restores that value in the role, can be a nice floor spacer, can be a guy who can help a contending team with three-point shooting, especially come playoff time. He overachieves. And then, hopefully for Gary Trent Jr.'s sake, he is able to get a decent payday, as he is, in the prime of his career. So Gary Trent Jr., his time with the Raptors is done. We'll see where he signs. And really, if I had to put a guess on it, I would say, yeah, the Lakers. Another team is the Milwaukee Bucks. I actually think that's where Gary Trent Jr. is going to land if I had to make a prediction here. Being reunited with Damian Lillard, Milwaukee, they really haven't done anything this offseason to, upgrade that roster. They could use some more shooting. They could use another piece in that rotation. So Gary Trent Jr., I think, would be a nice piece there. Obviously playing alongside Dame and Giannis, Middleton. So those are a couple of teams that make sense. Denver Nuggets, they lost some key pieces. Could they restore one of them by bringing in a guy like Gary Trent Jr.? But right now, I mean, the market has dried up. Does not seem like there is a whole ton of interest for Gary Trent Jr., which is why we are, couple weeks into free agency and no deal has happened for him. So I feel for Trent Jr., but it is a business. And like I said, from the Raptors perspective, it is the right move. And I was one of those guys saying that I think it was going to be either Bruce Brown or Gary Trent Jr. And when the Raptors made it clear that they weren't going to go after someone in free agency, and they accepted Bruce Brown's team option, which was expected, and they're going to look to trade him down the line, I knew at that point, okay, they're probably going to have Brown on the roster. The Raptors are not going to rush a trade. So the odd man out, it's going to be Gary Trent Jr. And here we are. And really, you just look at Trent Jr. Again, he didn't really show you that he was on the upward trajectory. He kind of flatlined. And I don't think you're going to get more from him than what the Raptors got. He is not a starter. He's a bench piece. He's a rotation piece. But in what the Raptors are trying to do here with this youth movement, it doesn't make sense to keep him. Gary Trent Jr. would be valuable on a contender looking to win a championship, not on a rebuilding Raptors team that has a whole lot more developing to do. So it's a shame because you look back, the Raptors, they made the trade for Gary Trent Jr. and at the time it looked brilliant, right? You traded Norman Powell for a guy who you thought was going to end up being better than Norman Powell. I mean, at that time, Gary Trent Jr. had tremendous upside and it looked like he was going to become something and really be a valuable piece of the Raptors' future, but never really got over that hump. Again, he showed you a lot of good things. He had that stretch in January a few seasons ago where he really looked elite, where he really looked like a guy who was about to boom, but just the up and downs, it really was not sustainable. And he did not give you enough consistency to show you that he could be a valuable long-term piece. And, he did get some time as a starter, but it just doesn't make sense to keep him around with this Raptors team. You look at their vision, you look at where they're headed. Gary Trent Jr., he doesn't make sense to be a part of the long-term plan. So Raptors move on from Gary Trent Jr. I mean, it's not official, but it basically, all arrows are pointing to it. And Gary Trent Jr., it'll be interesting to see where he lands. Again, the best case scenario for him at this point is to land with a contender. He's not going to get the money he wanted. And he's just going to have to throw away what happened and come out next season and perform very, very well. So then he can get paid the following summer, assuming he does sign to a short-term deal. So that is going to, wrap up the Gary Trent Jr. stuff. But guys, what are your thoughts on Gary Trent Jr.'s situation? Does it make sense that the Raptors moved on for him? Are you surprised that no team has signed Gary Trent Jr. yet? I am. I really thought Gary Trent Jr. by now was going to get a new deal with the team. But he remains unsigned. He is on the market. We'll see what ends up happening with Trent Jr. and where he indeed lands. All right. It's all about the future for the Toronto Raptors, and we are going to get a pretty good glimpse of that future as Summer League for the Toronto Raptors, guys, will begin this weekend. The Raptors will begin their Summer League schedule on July 13th against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They will take on the Denver Nuggets on July 14th, the Jazz on the 17th, and then the Heat on the 19th, as the Raptors Summer League roster has been announced. And really, I mean, this Summer League roster looks pretty stacked. I mean, if you're a betting person, Raptors winning the Summer League, it's not a bad bet. There's going to be a lot of talent on display, and I'm just excited to see the Raptors newcomers. Their draft picks. You got Grady Dick from last season. You're going to have Ochai Agbaji. But anyways, here is the full roster. So you are going to have Agbaji, which I think is good for him. Jamison Battle, Brandon Carlson, who the Raptors picked up after the draft. DJ Carden, Ulrich Chomsky, who the Raptors just locked up to a two-way deal. Grady Dick, Dylan Dessou, Javon Freeman-Liberty, Joseph Girard III, Quincy Guerrier. Again, the Raptors picked him up after the draft concluded. Jonathan Mobo, Amari Moore, Tyler Perry, Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter. And it was going to be Drew Timme, who I was pretty stoked for. I mean, when I saw it, I'm like, Drew Timme? I haven't heard that name in a while. Obviously, Gonzaga legend. But Drew Timme will not be on the Raptors Summer League roster. Blake Murphy of Sportsnet reported a couple hours ago that Canadian Bardoz Amac will step in for Drew Timme, as Timme played in the Cali Classic with the Kings, and he's going to be sticking around with them, apparently. So no Drew Timme on the roster. But guys, you look at the Summer League roster, I mean, it looks pretty promising. I think the Raptors are definitely going to have a better showing than they had last year when they went 1-4, and that was a dreadful Summer League roster. I was actually there in Vegas for Summer League. I was able to catch one of the Raptors games, and it wasn't pretty. But you look at this roster, I'm actually excited to see these guys play, and really, it's going to be highlighted by Grady Dick, Agbaji, And then you're going to have the newcomers, Walter, Mobile, Shed, Chomsky. There's a lot of talent on full display. I'm actually looking forward to Guerrier and Carlson, the pickups that the Raptors made after the draft. So I think this team's actually going to play well, and I think it's going to be fun. So Summer League begins this weekend, and there's going to be 2 games on the 13th and the 14th. So if you don't have any plans on Saturday and Sunday, just stay tuned for Summer League. We're going to see the newcomers for the Raptors officially in action, and really, I want to see Walter, man. I want to see the first-round pick. I want to see what he can give you. Obviously, Mobo. Those are going to be 2 guys you would think are going to be in the Raptors rotation. Definitely Walter. But then you got, Shed, who the Raptors picked up. Chomsky, more of a developmental pick. I think this is going to be a valuable learning curve for them. And then Grady Dick, I mean, he should definitely look like the star here, right? He's going to be on this roster. I think Abaji is somebody who should dominate. Like, I look at Dick and Abaji to look like a cut above, and they should. When you look at this roster, their experience, especially Abaji, they should really be the guys on this team. So I want to see those 2 in particular really show you, like, yeah, these are the best players. And then you hope the rookies can show you something to get excited about. But yeah, I'm going to be watching Summer League, and I'm going to be talking about the games after it happens. So you can check out this channel for all Summer League recaps. I will be doing Summer League recaps. I will be watching Summer League. And for all of my fellow sickos who will be watching every minute of Summer League, you want to be here, and we could talk about what we see from the newcomers. So Raptors Summer League officially begins this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, their first 2 games. We'll see how far this Summer League team can go. Again, if you're a betting person, there's some value with this Raptors Summer League team. I think they can do some big things. We'll see how they indeed perform. All right, guys, we are going to conclude today's podcast by talking about Team Canada. Yes, the Olympics are fast approaching. The Summer Olympics, men's basketball, always my favorite time. As you look at Team Canada, they have announced its roster as tip-off for the group stage is set for July 27th, and then the group stage games will conclude on August 4th, and the knockout round begins on August 6th, with the gold medal game for the men set to be played on August 10th. And all Canadians are hoping Team Canada will be a part of that gold medal game. They were in a showcase game against the United States last night at the time of this recording. And I got to say, Canada, they got off to an electrifying start. It was like, holy, USA is overrated, and Canada is about to beat these guys. I know USA is not with Kawhi. He's gone. He's going to be replaced by Derek White, and they didn't have Kevin Durant. He sat this one out. But yeah, Team Canada, they got off to a really nice start. It was a nice opening half, but then Team USA, this is going to be an extremely tough team to beat, as they are the clear-cut favorite to win this entire thing. They took over in the second half. Anytime you got Anthony Davis, Edwards, Halliburton, and Tatum coming off the bench, that is going to be an awfully tough team to beat. But, those guys were the standouts for Team USA. It was cool to see Curry and LeBron playing alongside with each other. They hooked up on the alley-oop. Joel Embiid, it was hilarious that he actually fouled out in this game. I mean, Joel Embiid did not look good. And, so that was just hilarious to see. But you look at Team Canada, guys, they did roll out a starting 5 of Barrett, Brooks, Powell, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jamal Murray. Murray did struggle, only finishing with 5 points on 2 of 8 shooting from the field. Alexander struggled as well from the field, shooting just 3 of 10. Alexander finished with 10 points. You look at RJ Barrett, obviously representing the Raptors. He did have 12 points in 17 minutes of action. He led the Canadians in scoring. And then you look at the other Raptor, Kelly Olynyk. He had 9 points in 14 minutes from off the bench. So there's going to be some kinks that Team Canada is going to have to work out here. But their full roster was announced, and their full roster is as follows: Nickeil Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett, Kem Birch, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Melvin Ejim, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Trey Lyles, Jamal Murray, Andrew Nembhard, Kelly Olynyk, and Dwight Powell. So that is the Canadian roster for the men's Olympic basketball tournament. And it's going to be tough for Canada, guys, because newsflash, Canada's in the group of death. Group A is going to be an absolute dogfight. I mean, Greece with Giannis, can't overlook them. Australia, I think they're going to be nice. Spain, I know this isn't the typical Spain team we're used to watching from the past, but hey, Spain, they can still ball out. Canada, obviously, they're going to be favored to get out of the group, but it is not going to be an easy stretch. Clearly not going to be as easy as how the Americans have it in their group. So the Canadians are going to be put to the test early. They're definitely going to have their work cut out for them, which, you know what, is actually a good thing, because you don't want Team Canada to cruise and then they run into trouble in the knockout stage, because I think, that's the downfall of the Americans, right? They're going to be playing easy competition, dominating the opposition, not really be given a true test till later on. And you want to be tested early on, because if the Canadians can get through this group, they look good against some of these teams that are, quality teams, then that's going to bode well for the Canadians as they get through the group stage and they hope to medal in the Olympics. Obviously, they're coming off getting bronze at the World Cup last year. That was a very monumental moment for them. But now they're looking to take it one step further. Outside of the Americans, people are looking at Team Canada as a team that can realistically win this thing. I mean, if you look at kind of the favorites right now, obviously Team USA a cut above the rest, but Team Canada is right there, France, and then Serbia. I think those are the 4 teams that got a shot to win this thing. And then the Germans, who obviously got gold last year. But, those are the 5. You want to really narrow it down, I think it's going to come down to, USA, France, Canada. When you look at those rosters, they're going to be built to make a run and possibly win this entire thing. So, again, it's going to be tough to stop the Americans because, man, when you look at Team America and, all of the amount of talent they have, you look at their bench is arguably better than their starters. It's crazy. And then you're adding Kevin Durant, by the way, and Derek White. It's insane. It really is going to take just a true letdown for that USA team not to win it all. They really got to play garbage. They got to play like they did in the first half throughout an entire game if you want to beat them. Because even if they didn't get off to a good start, they were kind of in, striking distance. But the positive for Canada is that your stars didn't have big games. If Jamal Murray plays better, if Shea plays better and really, puts on a clinic, that game is interesting. Canada, they ended up losing it by 14 points. But again, if Jamal Murray and Shea have big games, it could be a much different ball game. And Canada's right there. So I'm not worried. I mean, it was a showcase game, exhibition. It was entertaining. It was nice to kind of see both teams engage. But Team Canada, I think they're still going to have a solid chance. And that is going to be fun. And I'm going to have coverage for that as well. So the group stage, again, will tip off July 27th. So there's a lot coming. Just when you thought things are quiet and we can kind of chill here and rest, there's going to be plenty of basketball. Don't you worry, guys. Summer League is going to be in full swing for this Raptors team this weekend. And then once that is over with, we got the Olympics. So there's going to be a lot of basketball for Raptors fans, Canadian fans, and it is going to be exciting to see. So I am excited. It's going to add a little bit of flavor to what is normally a relatively quiet month in the NBA calendar. But that is going to conclude today's podcast, guys. Let me know your thoughts on what we discussed today. Gary Trent Jr., the Raptors Summer League roster, and Team Canada's roster. Drop a like on the video. It helps a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay safe.